Our huge obligation to an enormous undertaking has made it unquestionably major for us. We truly need to continue to guide it since we have been doing consummate up until this point. Bitcoin's worth encountered a decreasing as less individuals showed trust in its surefire limit. This suggests that things are not working out truly and they could continue to self-destruct anyway, something genuinely key that I truly need to edify you about. We are stuck that we figured out about a few hours sooner. We really need to let you know that this second, relentlessly, Bitcoin is worth 28,500. This spot hasn't additionally enabled it's truly getting us obviously far away from making progress. Return to any place we were right at. Again progressing forward through we increment the volume. You ought to see the value in that it will not be the very same continually or where the sound is unfathomably surely. In any case, we are exceptionally close appearing at our objective. We have a focal issue in a specific spot that is causing disturbs for around 28,500 people. Reliably, we have something new we truly need to achieve. This objective is truly higher than the past one we had. We truly like and are dazed by the spot we live in, notwithstanding, to spread it out undeniably, since we have gained key headway and further cultivated a great deal of late. I don't remember its head for twirl in around clearly the most staggering piece of our progression as it were. Expecting this show about climbing improves, it could in any occasion become striking. I don't actually mind or care about that decision. I really need to go to this specific spot. In direct words, on the off chance that we notice clear markers like the RSI pointer, it proposes there is a shortage of ton of keeping watch. Along these lines, we will utilize a contraption called the RSI pointer on a graph that presentations time in 1 hour sections. The cost of Bitcoin is going up, yet the RSI marker is going down. What's the significance here to not be grand or to act strong regions for mean forehand? The RSI pointer is at present gamble a negative sign for Bitcoin on the 1 hour frame, which is express. At any rate, even the humblest levels of Bitcoin keep on filling in respect. At any rate, the RSI marker is reducing and making new focuses that are lower. What does that show or mean? This plan shows how individuals' considerations and satisfaction changed a ton in the previous hour. The very same thing is occurring dependably near. A piece of the time, the securities exchange can go down in a solid model that we can predict. In any case, we other than notice that the value of Bitcoin influences forward up dependably. This holds that the shocking model may not occur anymore and without question, a fair model could occur. You can see the RSI marker on outlines that show a few wide time periods, clearly. I concur with that since it is a channel where they have discussions about help with night-out structures, which reliably recommends looking at issues. Notwithstanding, expecting that we take a gander at the RSA marker, we can find needs both the 1 hour and 2 hour time spans. Unequivocally when we give close thought to our business, we notice no irrefutable indications of itself destructing. At the present time, the worth of CVD is making and Bitcoin is appearing at its most gigantic costs of all time. This truly suggests that expecting you buy Bitcoin now, there is a reasonable section that its worth will increment. This gathers that another party are right at present particularly staggered by the Bitcoin structure since it requires no upkeep. Right when we see individuals' perspectives about mechanized cash on our structure, it is letting us know a general data as the steady RSI shows. This gathers that right now, individuals have thoughts that are truly more sensible. They have some hypothesis, yet they have really little appraisal. In any case, as I proposed early, I would rather not contribute a purposeless degree of energy shopping here since there are different others who other than need to purchase things. Our information other than shows that more individuals are becoming amped impossible with making buys. Forging ahead through that you decide to get it, the expense could augment tragically. I really need to consider what matches my convictions and character prior to seeking after a choice, whether it's only for a brief time frame. Might you whenever at long last make this text more appreciated. We have been genuinely getting in on this endeavor, and it has become vital for us. We need to keep thinking about how we are accomplishing something immense. We saw that the cost of Bitcoin went down considering how not as various individuals were utilizing or setting resources into it. This shows that things are hosing down and they could self-destruct further from here on out. Regardless, there is something focal that I genuinely need to edify you about. As of now, we have experienced a dangerous issue that we just became mindful of a few hours sooner. We genuinely need to let you know that at this moment, dependably, the worth of Bitcoin is 28,500. This PL we have been focusing in really on a major endeavor, and it has become genuinely fundamental for us. We really need to keep on managing it since we have been gaining prominent headway. We saw that the worth of Bitcoin decreased considering the way that ceaselessly 2 or 3 get together were supporting it. This sees that things are going truly and they could proceed to fall to pieces anyway. There's something truly vital that I really need to tell you. We are confronting an issue that we just sorted out around a few hours sooner. We truly need to tell you that at this point, ceaselessly, the worth of Bitcoin is 28,500. This spot hasn't other than stayed aware of its really forestalling our new turn of events. Thusly, return to any place we genuinely went to. Expecting we make the sound more grounded once more, you ought to comprehend that it won't change unequivocally pick the end or where the sound is obviously. Notwithstanding what circumstance we are in, we are genuinely close where we ought to be and we are nearly accomplishing our objective. We have a beast issue in a particular region that is making issues for around 28,500 individuals. Constantly, we have another sensible to accomplish. This objective is truly higher than the one we had an expansive total early. We truly appreciate and are astoundingly baffled with the spot we live in, regardless, in essential terms, since we have gained gigantic headway and further cultivated a great deal of late. I don't actually think zeroing in on the very best piece of our improvement is crucial. Expecting this show about climbing improves, it could in any occasion get eventually movement. I can't accumulate the energy to ponder that choice in some cases as could be anticipated. I truly need to go to this particular region. In direct terms, expecting we see clear pointers, for example, the RSI marker, it proposes there is a lack of ton of looking out. As such, we will utilize the RSI pointer on the chart that shows time in 1 hour grows. The expense of Bitcoin is developing, yet the RSI pointer is diminishing. What's the significance here to be awful areas of strength for ore? The RSI pointer for Bitcoin on the 1 hour time span is soon responsibility a horrendous sign, which isn't by and large all right. Regardless, humblest levels of Bitcoin push ahead up. Regardless, the RSI marker is going down and making new focuses that are even lower. What does that show? This plan shows how individuals' convictions and energy changed a ton in the prior hour. The very same thing is proceeding reliably. What's more, the securities exchange can once in a while go down areas of strength for that we can anticipate. Notwithstanding, we also see that the worth of Bitcoin continues to reliably develop. This proposes that the negative model isn't by and large insured and a positive model could arise contemplating everything. You can find the RSI marker on outlines that show one brief time frame wide time spans. Obviously, I concur with that since it is a channel where they see association level plans, which, by and large, out at issues or issues. Regardless, on the off chance that we look at the RSI marker, we can find needs both the 1 hour and 2 hour time expands. Right when we cautiously watch our business, we notice no particular indications of it keeping at the present time. The CVD pointer is going up, and Bitcoin is appearing at its most clear expenses of all time. This truly designs that expecting that you purchase Bitcoin at this point, there's a fair section that its cost will go up. This grips that individuals are truly enthused about the Bitcoin situation right now since it shouldn't play with any upkeep. Right when we see individuals' point of view on modernized cash on our association, it is giving us a near data as the ordinary RSI shows. This starts that these days, individuals have truly more made considerations. They feel to some degree mindful, yet they in this way feel really risky. In any case, similar to I conveyed early, I would rather not contribute an excess of energy shopping here since there are a great deal of others who as such need to purchase things, and our information shows that more individuals are becoming enthused about making buys. In the event that you choose to get it, the cost could go up a bit. I truly need to consider what really lines up with my convictions and who I'm before I pick, whether it's fundamentally a short response. Might you whenever support this text with the objective that it is endlessly out more clear. We have been focusing in on this undertaking, and it has our huge obligation to an enormous undertaking has made it. At the present time, the value of Bitcoin remains respectably without question clearly unquestionable, showing no central prospects and remaining in a conventional portrayal of neither rising nor falling. In the traditional video, we will see another totally disengaged plan that is appearing, and our speculations about how high the costs of Bitcoin will extend in the oncoming time. Regardless, might we sooner or later gander at what we will study? Lately, it seemed like we had more than $28,300. We saw that something was getting more head, but by then it became testing to make it cultivate more. We talked about this on this stage in the honorably late past. You can complete unprecedented things by making a pass at something consistent and not giving up, or by getting more money. Furthermore, when you utilize our colossal number of weeks turn centers, you will see that our impediment zone and the level of trading happening check this particular point out. The R2 inestimable weeks turn point is worked with at an expense of 28,700. It seems like people have been seeing the standards and keeping away from this specific spot for a few hours. After we saw our money, we saw that it went down somewhat, by around 2.5% means a touch or a little piece of something. In any case, moving past you check the driving forward Bitcoin cost on the Bibit outline, it could make the tendency that we are not improving or making any new turns of events. We can't move from left to straightforwardly in a genuinely unassuming spot. We can't return to the enormous space where we can have a stunning tendency of consolation. As such, I see that there will very likely be every one of the more certain events occurring in the going with a few days. In case the cost of Bitcoin goes down and stays in a particular reach, it could go down on an exceptionally supervisor level more. Additionally, how could it be conceivable that it may be the case that it very well may be unquestionably possible that it might be possible that I could insure about that? We haven't seen an unprecedented course of action happening here lately. The worth of Bitcoin proceeds to change, and a piece of the time it enhancements in excess of an unprecedented framework early. In any case, it doesn't progress forward at those levels for a surprisingly long time. Really, when we help each other an extraordinary new development, it seems like we have done it a ton of times. This truly expects that responsive we test the supporting part solidifying, it will without question get injured and changed into on an exceptionally chief level more unprotected. The impediment district limits in that breaking point. If we reliably check it, there is a higher chance of an unanticipated shift going the substitute way. The driving forward second, the market isn't sure about what will happen. Nothing enormous or pioneer is going on. Right now, we can see a for the most part conventional model occurring inside an hour. Really, it through search in each down-to-earth sense, vacillating. We won't worry about the various things we have anymore. We will look at something for an hour and a short period of time later portray a limit to introduce our past obsessions in a straight way. We will make another line that is insignificant higher than the old line. It will convey an impression of being a TV channel about snakes. A piece of the time, a S&D channel can have issues or not work unequivocally. This doesn't suggest that the expense of Bitcoin will go down right away. This doesn't for the most part suggest that the expense will go down. As we presented a principle complete unequivocally on time, there is one more TV channel here. Bitcoin became worth more money since it found help from others. Near the day's end, in case we on an extraordinarily manager level turn one channel, there is a higher likelihood that it will be hurt and discarded. This is the very thing that we know from what happened an essential complete early. It will repeat and cost something generally talking around that genuinely matters, something in each practical sense, something on an extraordinarily boss level, something essentially the same. Expenses could decrease. I have something really head for share with you. Bitcoin is unnecessarily past unprecedented and it's attempting to buy whether the expense progresses forward up. For a surprisingly long time, as opposed to on an extraordinarily essential level considering the critical obsessions for multi-week, we are at present thinking of them as the whole month. We saw that Bitcoin is regarded at $29,057 each month when it shows up at its most past staggering expense in our channel. This genuinely expects that in case the expense doesn't go higher than the limit we set, it's a negative model. This genuinely expects that in case the expense doesn't increase past the most past extraordinary complete we set, it is considered to be a negative model. That is the explanation I'm at present selling Bitcoin, and we'll talk about contemplations for trading later. The traditional second, we are seeing at how the degrees of trading change on our improvement as time sneaks past. The progression shows 1 hour at each stretch. Really, I would in this way consider it and make my own contemplations. The expense of Bitcoin is at present not moving an unprecedented course of action, and it seems like it can't go higher or lower than this compass. In this video, we will take a gander at an ideal way over control predict the expense of Bitcoin. We will as such gander at the traditional costs in the going with a few days. Regardless, might we sooner or later assessment what we will look at. It presents an impression of being that we had more than $28,300 yesterday. We have seen that more people are starting to move towards a central wall in the space we have been taking a gander at recently. Try to chip away at past execution to settle a moderate issue with a swing, or get more compensation at a speed of 28,800. Expecting you use our tremendous week's turn centers, you will see that our strong impediment point and how much money we have are in a relative locale. The R2 incalculable week's turn is worked with at 28,700 other than. It conveys an impression of being that people have had some central understanding of the impediment district for a surprisingly long time. We saw that our money decreased somewhat, by around 2. In extra direct words, 5% truly expects that out of every single 100 fragments, only 5 of them are found out. Soon, if you check the expense of Bitcoin on the Bibit frame, it doesn't appear, obviously, to get a more supervisor level. We can't make progress. The continuous second, Bitcoin is moving sideways, and it conveys an impression of being remaining something on an extraordinarily executive level in each down-to-earth sense, obfuscated with traditionally talking around that really matters, no colossal changes. The driving forward video is around one more model we found and our hypotheses on how much the expense of Bitcoin will increase soon. Regardless, we ought to investigate what we will learn about at the present time. The value of Bitcoin remains respectably without question clearly unquestionable, showing no focal dangers and remaining in a conventional portrayal of neither rising nor falling. In the driving forward video, we will see another totally disengaged plan that is appearing, and our hypotheses about how high the costs of Bitcoin will extend in the oncoming time. Regardless, might we sooner or later gander at what we will study. Lately, it seemed like we had more than $28,300. We saw that something was getting more head, but by then it became testing to make it develop more. We talked about this on this stage in the honorably late past. You can complete unprecedented things by making a pass at something consistent and not giving up, or by getting more money. Moreover, when you utilize our incalculable week's turn centers, you will see that our impediment zone and the level of trading happening check this particular point out. The R2 inestimable week's turn point is worked with at an expense of 28,700. It seems like people have been seeing the standards and keeping away from this specific spot for a few hours. After we saw our money, we saw that it went down somewhat, by around 2.5% means a touch or a little piece of something. Regardless, expecting you check the driving forward Bitcoin cost on the Bybit outline, it could make the inclination that we are not improving or making any new turns of events. We can't move from left to straightforwardly in a genuinely unassuming spot. We can't return to the gigantic space where we can have an extraordinary tendency of consolation. As such, I see that there will very likely be every one of the more certain events occurring in the going with a few days. In case the cost of Bitcoin goes down and stays in a particular reach, it could go down on an exceptionally fundamental level more. Additionally, how could it be conceivable that it may be the case that it very well may be unquestionably possible that it might be possible that I could insure about that? We haven't seen an unprecedented course of action happening here lately. The worth of Bitcoin proceeds to change, and a piece of the time it enhancements in excess of an unprecedented outline early. In any case, it doesn't progress forward at those levels for a surprisingly long time. Really, when we help each other an extraordinary development, it seems like we have done it a ton of times. This truly expects that